If your standards are offensive to the people that are around you, you need to get around some new people because you and them are not like-minded. Okay, this is something that I had to learn. I had to learn this after a lot of failed friendships and a lot of failed relationships, when I realized that if someone's standards are not where my standards are, the relationship, it's going to be a very busted relationship or friendship because we're not like-minded. So people will be offended by your standards. So when you are sharing your standards with people whose standards are different or lower than your standards, they will start to view you in a negative light. When I was a little girl, my grandmother, she said, Mel, your standards are for you to uphold. They're not for people to understand. And second to that, never explain your standards to people, because if your standards are higher than their standards for life, they are going to target you as a result of that. I personally, at my age, at this point in my life, I don't keep anyone around me that I have to explain my standards to, or that someone is going to say that my standards for living or my standards for relationships or my standards for friendships are out of whack. I simply feel like me and you are just not the same, which is completely fine, but I'm not going to force that connection with you, because what a lot of people will do is, if you have high standards for life and you have high standards for yourself, what they're going to do is they're going to tell you that you think that you're better than everyone. And they're going to say that you think you're superior to everyone. They're going to say, who does this chick think she is, walking around with these high qualifications? That is how they're going to feel, and that is what they're going to say. And sometimes, because your standards are higher than their standards, and you are aligning yourself with things and people that meet those standards that you mentioned, they will try to sabotage you out of reaching those standards. That's a whole other ball game right there. So let's say we have two girlfriends. One girl is named Sarah. One girl is named Laura. Sarah has very high standards for life. She likes nice things. She wants to wear nice clothes, nice shoes. She wants the best perfume. She works really, really hard. She's working 2 jobs so that she can afford a very comfortable, elegant lifestyle. She only dates fully provider masculine men. She only aligns herself with, high value people who are high value mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just good quality people. Amazing high-end people. That's Sarah. Now, Sarah goes and she builds a friendship with Laura. Laura is dating a Dusty, okay? Laura does not have a standard for her life, meaning she settles for everything, right? Laura leaves the house looking absolutely wild. Laura doesn't take very good care of herself. She doesn't invest in herself. She's sloppy, lazy, doesn't really want to work as hard because she doesn't care for a comfortable, beautiful life. Laura is just very, very she doesn't care. That stuff's not important to her. So Sarah goes and builds a friendship with Laura. What's going to happen is Laura has her standards. Sarah has her standards, which is fine. We're all allowed to have our own standards. We don't have to talk down on someone else's standard. If that's your standard of measurement for your life and how you want to live it, that's fine. I'm not here to challenge you or tell you that your standards are low. All of us have our own standards, right? What Laura will do is she will see maybe a man who is wealthy that is pursuing Sarah, or she will see a big business deal that is going to be presented to Sarah. And Laura is going to sabotage that because she is maybe jealous of Sarah's standards and the fact that the standards that she requires in life is now being put on the table for her. So that is the dangers when you align yourself with people who find your standards offensive. Some of you guys, you have kids. You raise your kids very well, and you have friends who may not raise their kids that well. So because they don't raise their kids in the manner that you raise your kids, every time your kids goes for a play date at that so-called friend's house, your friend's kids treat your kids badly. That's very popular in island culture. You have to align yourself with people who fit your standards. Because when you align yourself with people who fit your standards, one, you don't have to explain your standards and why they're high, or why they're low, or why they're where they're at. And you don't have to worry about people sabotaging you out of opportunities that fit your so-called standard and criteria of life. If I walk into an environment and I see women talking about how they are dealing with a man who has 6 baby mothers, 7 baby mothers, or 6 girlfriends at once, or they're in a relationship with a man who's a serial cheater and they're aware of it, or they're dating a man where they're paying all the man's bills for him, I don't even insert myself in those conversations. Even if I'm in an environment, a work environment where women are having those conversations, I don't insert myself. I don't comment on it. I don't give my opinion on it, because that's their standard of life. That's their measurement. That's what they're comfortable with. So I'm not going to even align my energy with those kind of conversations because they're below my standard. And then if you do insert yourself in that conversation, they are going to try to either bully you out of your standards, tell you that you'll never be able to meet those so-called standards that you have, or they're going to tell you that you think you're better than everyone. So why waste your time when you can just not discuss your standards with people that you know are not like-minded to you? I've had so many people tell me, well, why don't you, try to get on this podcast, or try to, sit on a podcast with these group of men? And I'm like, well, why would I do that? Why would I publicly go and sit and have to argue and go back and forth about having quality standards with people who don't? And now I have to explain why I have those quality standards. Those are your standards. These are my standards. They don't have to be the same, and we can just leave it like that. I always tell people my biggest pet peeve is when people try to talk people out of their measurement for what they desire in their life. Don't talk people out of what they desire for their life. God has made us all differently. We don't all have to be the same. There was this woman that went online and stated her standards of measurement for men, and she got dragged for weeks. And I'm like, this is why you don't state your standards. You just look for people who share those same standards or who meet those standards or requirements, and you just mingle in those circles. You don't have to state your standards. You just have to align yourself with people who align with those standards, because people will be offended by your standards if their standards are lower than yours. And then you will constantly find yourself in a situation or a position where you have to keep explaining why you live a certain lifestyle, why you like particular things, why you like to dress in a particular way. I remember I had a friend when I was in college, and she literally, when we were getting dressed to go out one day, and we're on FaceTime because we're going to a party that night, and she's like, oh, well, it's just a party, but don't worry, like, you don't have to curl your hair, like, you don't have to, like, wear makeup or anything like that. As I'm getting ready, I'm like, 19 at the time. Now that I'm older, I don't align myself with people who don't necessarily have the standard of measurement, or who don't fit the natural order of the energy that I walk into life with. So I walk into life with the energy where when I'm stepping out my house, I'm going to step, okay? I'm going to look my best. My hair's done, makeup done, outfit slaying, heels 6 inches. I'm going to look good when I step out of my house, no matter what. And I don't keep people around me who are going to tell me, oh, you don't have to curl your hair. Oh, you don't have to wear makeup, because that person's standard is when they're going to a particular event to go to the event looking absolutely hideous. That's their standard. That's not mine. So I don't align myself with why are you dressed up people, or why do you work so hard people, or why do you have to curl your hair people, or why do you have to invest in such nice perfume people, because our standards of measurement in life is just different. And I'm not going to allow you to bully me or make me feel like my desires or the way that I want to live my life is this unattainable thing. You guys understand what I'm saying? So ladies, stay away from women where their standard is to go out looking wild. Stay away from women where their standard is to not move forward in life, and their standard is to stay in the same place year after year. Gentlemen, stay away from men where their standard is to just sit at the couch at home all day and be smoking on Mary Jane all day, and they're not fixing their life. That person doesn't fit your standard of the kind of people that you want around you, and that's perfectly fine. Yes, they will say you think you're better. Yes, they will think that you're above. Whatever. When you get around people like that and you're on this table with people who are on the same level as you, they will not feel like you're bragging. Do not forget master classes for January 19th. We have how to build a business from scratch. Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. January 26th, we have our class on feminine power. Super excited for that. Sunday, January 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those are the 2 classes for January. Go ahead to yourlevelupguru.net to sign up and reserve your spot. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.